Hi, I know I've been gone for a while. It's been quite a while. And I know that it's evident with all the changes that are present. But I've been getting a gentle nudging to come back on. I won't lie, I've been resisting. I really have. It's something that I know that God has been pushing me to do, but I mean, it's been a long couple of years, honestly. And the last thing I wanted to do was to come on camera, you know, being hard pressed on all sides. It wasn't necessarily a priority for me. So I was resisting. But recently, over the last couple of weeks, it's something that God had been, nudging me to get back on. And so I'm here and I'm trying out a new format where I will be unpacking my process and being vulnerable about, some of the things that I've been through and some of the things that I've overcome and I'm still overcoming. Um, I'm really going to need him for that because being vulnerable is not necessarily my strongest suit. At least I don't think so. It's very uncomfortable having to invite people into a private space, but I'm here because ultimately, when I first started this channel, my goal was to tackle life's issues through a godly perspective, and it requires a level of vulnerability. And so that's what I really want to hone in on with this new format. And I'm hoping that it lands. And I'm hoping that even as I share more of me and as I process in front of you, that it helps you to figure out where it is that you are and, what God is doing in your life. I've been in a space over the last year and even into this year where the only instruction that God has been giving me is rest. And it's very frustrating for me because I'm saying to him, listen, God, I have done the work. You've taken me through 7 years of the most intense processing and I've done the work. So what's next? I want the evidence. I want the momentum. I want to see what's next. I want to see what's on the other end of everything that you walked me through. And all he says is rest. And the reason why it's so frustrating is because I cannot articulate what this space is, or at least up until this point, I couldn't articulate what this space is. I knew in the wilderness, I knew what it was. I knew what he was doing because although it was very intense, he was speaking. He was letting me know what he was doing at any given time. He was showing me what he was doing. I knew in this wilderness, he was stripping me of idolatry. I knew that he was teaching me how to follow his instructions and his instructions alone. That's it. I knew that he was breaking off fear of man because there were so many things that he asked me to do that required me to do it in spite of what I looked like, in spite of what people said. And ultimately, I got to a point where I just didn't care. I didn't care what anybody said or what anybody thought about me. It was only about what he said and what he thought. What else was he doing? I'm going to have a dedicated episode to what the last 7 years looked like for me, what that wilderness process looked like for me, and, how he walked me through the things that he showed me about me and some of what I learned in that process. Because this particular video would just be too long if I did. But it was a intense 7 years, and it just felt like every year was a new level of fire. Every year, as I would come out of one, it'd be like, we're not done yet. We're going to crank up the fire, and I'm going to throw you back in. It felt like I was going through 7 different layers of fire. And I knew he was refining. I understood that. I understood that he was refining, but it was intense. It was so intense. Every year felt like a new level of intensity. In his mercy, he was giving me words from his word and speaking through dreams, some of which were instructional. Others were prophetic, some were simply just revelations, and some were even warnings. But he was speaking. And I was very thankful for that space, very thankful for how he showed up, because I truly, truly needed him to speak ever so clearly, just due to the nature of, the process that he took me through. But then last year came around, and even this year, and all of that slowed down tremendously. He became a lot less chatty, and all he says is rest. And that has been I've been struggling with that. I've been fighting him. I'm not going to lie. I keep asking him, "What are you doing? Where do you have me?" I feel so raw. I feel so out of sorts, and I'm just wondering, like, Lord, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not really saying too much. You're not showing me as much as you used to show me. What are we doing? All you're saying is rest. But then a couple of weeks, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I got my answer. So randomly, I got an email in my inbox, and it's just, I'm not sure, not really sure where it came from, but it was a lady, and she was talking about her journey with cancer and how she had cancer 3 times. She had been diagnosed with cancer 3 times, and after the first two, she wanted to do everything possible to avoid there being a third diagnosis. And she said she ate the best she could. She said she had such a tight fitness schedule. She just did everything right to the best of her ability, and she still got diagnosed with cancer. And she said it gave her the permission to just surrender, and that nothing she could do could have stopped anything. And there was just something about her language that, I don't know, that just made it easy for me to engage with that word surrender, because for me, every time I hear the word surrender, it triggers me. And the reason why is because of, again, the nature of my journey. It has been one that has required such an extreme surrender that every time I hear someone talk about surrender, it's almost like, well, how much more? What else is left to show up with? What else can I do? What else? It puts me in such a fight space mentally. But there was something about how she presented what she presented that just got me, I don't know, it felt like it also gave me permission to surrender as well. And so I went to look for her book. I did. And it's called A Faith That Will Not Fail by Michelle Cushat. And this book is such a gem. I'm only on day 2 of the first, or rather day 3 of the first practice, because I'm taking my time through the entire book. But so far, it's just been amazing. So as I'm reading through, the part that I'd gotten up to, she's talking about the importance of lamenting and stopping and recognizing losses and being honest with God so that he can heal and recover. And as I'm reading through and I'm meditating on what is being said and actually putting into practice, I hear God say to me, go and look up the portion of time where he had the Israelites stop so that they would be circumcised, and that's so that they could go through a healing and recovery process. And so I searched it up, and I found it in Joshua 5, and it made so much sense. That was where my answer was. I'm going to read from verse 7. I'm not going to read the entire thing because it would just be entirely too long, but I'm going to read just a portion, and then I'm going to share what it is that he began to show me from, that portion. So leading up to verse 7, this was a part where God says to Joshua to circumcise some of the young men, well, not some, circumcise the men who had just come out of the wilderness, because the ones who had been circumcised before, their fathers before them, had died off in the wilderness. And so now he was requiring these new young men who were born in the wilderness to be circumcised. And so verse 7 reads, he raised up their sons in their place. It was these Joshua circumcised. they were still uncircumcised since they had not been circumcised along the way. So many words. After the entire nation had been circumcised, they stayed where they were in the camp until they recovered. And the Lord then said to Joshua, "Today I have rolled away the disgrace of Egypt from you. Therefore, that place is still called Gilgal today." What he started to show me through this is that just as the old Israelites had passed away, and there was this now new breed that were born with something that needed to be cut off before they could proceed forward, that I had been taken through a process and I had been taken through a wilderness that required a dying of an old version of me and a birthing of something new. But that in the process, there were some things that were that came along as well that needed to be cut away, that needed to be circumcised, so to say. And so that now he has me in a process, a recovery process in a space kind of like theirs, in a place called Gilgal, where he has me resting so that I can heal and recover, so that he can roll away some of the effects of the past, the effects of some of the oppressive cycles that I've been through, some of the betrayals, some of the I don't know, the disappointments, the discouragements, anything that was of the past. He's rolling it away. But the reason why I feel so raw is because he's also circumcising certain things. He's also cutting away some of the things that came in the process that needed to be, or that needs to be cut off right now. And in the process, he's causing it so that I will recover and I will heal. And that's why it's necessary for me to rest. And that's why it's a resting period. It's not a time for excess momentum. The Israelites that had been circumcised in that point, this was not the time for them to be moving around. When you're healing from a circumcision, you're not really moving out around a ton. You're sitting still and you are healing. And he's like, this is a time of healing. This is a time of recovery. And that's why I have you in what feels like inertia and what feels like nothing is happening. And it feels out of sorts and it feels raw. But that's what this space is doing. As a time to heal, as a time to recover, Knowing all of this helped because it gave me language. Having language to articulate things helps a lot. Now, does this mean that I don't fight with him at any given chance? No, because I'm still like, okay, so how long? How long is this going to be? Is this going to be another couple of years? There's that thing about being in the unknown that can be very unsettling, and I feel like my entire journey has been just a journey of the unknown. It's just one thing after another of just not knowing. But I'm thankful for the language. I'm thankful for the language that this has provided, and I'm hoping that it gives you language as well, that so that maybe if you're in the same position where you're looking at your life and you're like, I've been through the process. I've gone through the isolation. I've gone through the stripping. It's been a long season of waiting. I've said yes to God on so many levels. I've been in obedience to the best of my ability. You're looking at things and you still don't know what's next. You know that the old you is gone. There's no going back for you. But you really don't even know what going forward looks like. It feels like it's such an inertia right now. It's almost like you don't know what move, you don't know what the next movement is. You don't know what to do. It feels painful. You feel out of sorts. You feel raw. If maybe you can relate with all of this, maybe this will give you language to help you process through. Because I understand that not knowing can almost feel like you're doing something wrong. And so maybe having a little bit of understanding will help you know that you are in the right place. You're exactly where God needs you to be, even when it doesn't look like much is happening, even when it looks like He is silent. Knowing that He is doing something, especially if He is telling you to rest. Maybe He's doing the same thing in your life. Maybe He has you in a place where you are recovering all and you're healing, and He's rolling away the effects of the process that you've been through, rolling away some of the things that may have come in the journey and in the process, the disappointments, the shame, the humiliation, the mockery, the snaring, the daring, all of that, the effects of all those things. He's wanting to roll those things away. And so having an understanding of what this space that you might be in could be, I'm sure will absolutely help, because I know it helps me. It helps me not feel like I've done something wrong, and it doesn't, because I have a tendency to want to do more. Like, Lord, tell me what to do. I need to be doing, I need to perform. Maybe if I do this more, maybe I haven't done enough of that, maybe, and the answer is always still rest. And maybe the answer to you is also still rest. And I'm hoping that in sharing this and in sharing my process with this, it helps you to surrender to the rest. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'm back. I don't have any schedules. I'm just I'm taking it one episode at a time, going according to God's leading. I'm going to try to incorporate more vlogs of life, and of course my business, the clients that I work on. But we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But yeah, I'm just showing up. I'm trusting God with whatever it is that He has planned for this channel. And I plan to just say yes and show up. Hopefully the third time is the charm. Listen, I'm trying my best. But yeah, I'm Kelechi. This is Talks with Kay. Thank you if you've made it this far, and I hope to see you